Hey guys, today we're going to talk about digestive problems on keto. I'm talking about bloating, gas, feeling nauseous. What do you do about it? Well, let's start with number one, sugar alcohols. When you're doing keto, you're not doing sugar anymore. So there's this sugar substitute which don't spike insulin. Well, some do more than others, but generally speaking, they're low on the glycemic index. I'm talking about erythritol, okay, which can create diarrhea. Xylitol, which can also disrupt your stomach if you're taking too much. Then you have mannitol, maltitol, and the list goes on and on. So this is something you definitely need to watch out for, because I always ask people, when did you start having the digestive problem? What did you eat exactly before that? And it's usually this right here. So either cut back and only have a small amount, or cut it out completely. Okay, number two, fiber. Now, I always recommend a large quantity of vegetables when you're doing keto, like 7 to 10 cups. For some people, that's way too much. Number one, it's a big change and they're not used to it. They don't have the microbes to handle all that fiber. So in that case, you might want to ease into it, have a smaller amount, and then gradually increase it. And also there could be a problem with certain types of vegetables that they're not used to. Like some people can't do kale, some people can't do broccoli. Personally, I can't do broccoli. But I can do kale, I can do cabbage, but those fibers are a little more difficult to digest if you do them in large quantities. In that case, I recommend doing a fermented vegetables, like in fermented cabbage or pickles, things like that. That can actually help you. But then you also have corn fiber in certain keto-friendly bars or different powdered mix. A lot of people have a sensitivity with this and realize that the corn could be GMO, so that could be a problem. And this word is not insulin, it's inulin. And it's in other things, but you'll see this in the ingredients in a lot of products, especially like they even put it in chocolate, different powdered mixes and brownies that are keto friendly, but this can create a lot of digestive issues. So just be aware of that. I think the bottom line is when you're doing keto and you have digestive problems, you might want to just do the foods and not do the extra different products that come along with people doing the ketogenic diet. I mean, because everyone's jumping on the bandwagon right now and producing all these different products with all these different ingredients, and they're focused on low carb, but they have gums that people can't digest, like guar gum, different types of fibers they're not used to, and definitely sugar alcohols. But there are other ingredients in keto-friendly foods that are not really keto-friendly. For example, dextrose. Avoid that. That's a synthetic sugar. Maltodextrin. That is not keto-friendly. In fact, on the glycemic index, it's like way above 100. It's like the worst sugar you could possibly consume, and it's in a lot of these keto-friendly bars and powders. All right, now let's talk about MCT oil. Okay, this is medium chain triglycerides. This comes from either palm oil or coconut oil. And if you consume too much, it can definitely give you a laxative effect and a full-blown diarrhea. So be cautious of this. I always recommend when you start it with keto, don't add too many things that you're not used to in one meal. This way you can isolate one change at a time and figure out what your body can't digest or doesn't agree with. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they do keto is they start adding all these different extra fats, excessive amounts of butter and MCT oil and tons of coconut oil, when their system is not really used to doing that. So they might have a lot of bloating or gas, or just because the gallbladder might not be used to releasing that much bile. So you want to cut back on that and just consume the food with its fat that it comes with naturally, okay? And also, taking purified bile salts might not be a bad idea. And I recommend something called gallbladder formula because it has in there betaine hydrochloride and purified bile salts with a couple other things that can help a person cope with some of these new foods. I put a link down below for more information. Also, apple cider vinegar, it's a really important thing for digestion as well as blood sugar balance, okay? Number four, if you're not doing intermittent fasting with keto, that is a mistake. Think about this. It takes a good amount of time for food to go through the stomach. I'm talking like several hours, up to 5 hours before the food even goes through the stomach. And some of the food that gets digested from the stomach into the small intestine, it comes back up into the stomach again to actually get broken down a little faster too. So it takes a while for the food to go from the stomach into the small intestine. And then you got 3 parts of the small intestine. You have the first part, which is about 15 inches. The next part, which is about 8 feet. And the next part is another 8 feet to 13 feet. And that's even before you get to the large colon, which is about another 5 feet. So if you're consuming, for example, a lot of fiber that you're not used to, it doesn't get digested in the small intestine. It ends up in the large intestine where it gets fermented. And if you don't have the microbes or you have a weakness within the small intestine, it can just be a problem. Especially if you're eating frequently, even though it is keto, that frequent eating could be a problem because the food is not fully digested yet. But if you do intermittent fasting, okay, and you're not eating as frequent, you finally give your digestion a chance to breathe, a chance to recover. And this will be a new concept for a lot of people, but it will really help you tremendously. Okay, number 5, too many nuts or too much peanut butter or nut butters or too much almond flour, okay? First of all, almonds in general have a lot of oxalates, okay, which can irritate your digestive system, can create arthritis. It can actually even trigger kidney stones. It can irritate the gallbladder. So just go easy on the nuts, especially in the beginning. Pistachios have the lowest oxalates. Okay, so that would be a safe nut, but just consume it in small amounts, especially if you're not used to digesting nuts. Now, if nuts are raw, it's even more difficult to digest that nut because it has enzyme inhibitors. And this is why you'd want to germinate the nuts. I have a whole chapter of this in my book where you soak them in water overnight and then dry them out and then consume them. They're much easier to digest, or roasted nuts are easier to digest. So you just have to be aware that nuts can really irritate the colon and the gallbladder. And you're going to end up with right shoulder pain because there's a nerve called the phrenic nerve that goes right to the right side through here from the diaphragm. So be aware of that. Next one, too much cheese. Now I'm from Wisconsin, so I do eat cheese, but I make sure that the cheese is high quality, it's grass-fed, and I don't do a lot. I won't do more than like maybe 2 ounces per day, but it can be very constipating and very irritating to certain people. So beware of the cheese because some people can have bloating if they do too much. All right, guys, there you have it. The summary on things that can affect your digestive system when you're doing keto. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you're liking this content, please subscribe now, and I will actually keep you updated on future videos.